5. My alarm, set to the dulcet tones of Beyoncé singing calculus equations, hadn't even finished its opening riff when a high-pitched beep assaulted my eardrums. It was my comm unit, flashing the universal distress signal. I groaned, peeling myself off the gravity-adjusting sheets. Not again. What is it this time? Another rogue black hole? A space kraken with indigestion? Being Captain James Michaels of 4 wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Sure, I was a legend, a decorated hero, a walking, talking, ass-kicking testament to human awesomeness. And yeah, my triceps were legendary. But the downside? Everyone and their cosmic cousin came to me with their problems. I jabbed the accept button. Michael's here. State your emergency and please, for the love of gravity, make it quick. I'm trying to caffeinate. The comm screen flickered to life, revealing a being that looked like a cross between a sentient artichoke and a particularly stressed-out garden gnome. He was trembling, his voice a series of squeaks and whistles. Captain Michaels, you must help us! We are the Fluvians planet Flumph in the Carillium system. We are doomed! I raised an eyebrow, already reaching for my protein shake. Doomed how? Did Kepler become a supernova again? Worse, far worse. We are under the tyranny of Lord Doodle. I choked on my shake. Lord Doodle? The artichoke gnome wailed. He is a monster, a cartoon villain of unparalleled evil. He is squints at a crumpled piece of paper, turning our flubberberries into Chex paper again. Evil bouncy castles. I pinched the bridge of my nose. This was going to be one of those days. All right, Miss Gleepglorp, he squeaked. Gleepglorp floob. Right, Gleepglorp, tell me about this Lord Doodle. And please tell me he doesn't have a handlebar mustache and a penchant for tying damsels to train tracks. I, Anya, Starfarer, descendant of the Valerius bloodline and sworn protector of the temporal stream, was having a perfectly lovely Tuesday. I was hopping through time, making sure the great space hamster didn't accidentally erase the invention of pizza, when my chrono compass went haywire. Instead of landing in 20th century Chicago, I found myself smack dab in the middle of Captain James Michaels IV's ridiculously over-designed living room. The captain, looking like he'd wrestled a space bear and lost, stared at me with open-mouthed astonishment. "And you are?" "Anya," I replied, extending a hand. "Starfarer, temporal guardian, and occasional pizza enthusiast." Before things could get any weirder, and trust me, they were already pretty weird, Gleepglorp's frantic voice erupted from the comm unit. "Captain! He's here! Lord Doodle is making all the Fluvians play an endless game of intergalactic hopscotch. It's madness!" Michaels looked at me, then back at the screen. "Anya, meet Gleepglorp. Gleepglorp, meet the woman who just materialized in my living room. We're having a bit of a situation. Dad's life was always interesting. One minute, he was making us waffles with his robot arm, long story. The next, a squeaky alien was begging him for help, and then a lady in leather popped out of thin air. My life was never boring. "So let me get this straight," I said, leaning against the kitchen counter. "This Lord Doodle is turning bouncy castles into weapons of mass destruction on a planet called Flumph?" My brother Marcus, who was obsessed with anything space-related, was practically vibrating with excitement. "Flumph! That's in the Carillium system. I read about it in Intergalactic Geographic." "Okay, kids," Dad sighed, running a hand through his perfectly sculpted hair. "This is clearly a job for Captain Michaels IV. Anya, I don't suppose you have any experience with cartoon villains?" Anya shrugged. "I once had to prevent Hitler from writing a musical. This doesn't sound much worse." "All right, team," Dad announced, clapping his hands together. "Suit up, we're going to Flumph." Marcus cheered. I rolled my eyes, but a smile crept onto my face. This was going to be an epic family adventure. Getting to Flumph was the easy part. Finding Lord Doodle's headquarters? Not so much. Turns out a villain obsessed with bouncy castles has terrible taste in architecture. His fortress was a giant, pink, inflatable monstrosity that looked like it belonged in a toddler's fever dream. My time-warping skills came in handy. I managed to fast-forward us through a field of sentient bubblegum and a swamp of singing marshmallows. The temporal stream is weird, people. The inside of Lord Doodle's fortress was even more insane than the outside. There were rooms filled with rubber chickens, hallways lined with whoopee cushions, and a throne room. Well, let's just say it involved a lot of glitter and a giant inflatable banana. Lord Doodle himself was exactly what you'd expect. A tiny, Napoleon complex-ridden man with a ridiculously oversized top hat and a high-pitched cackle that could shatter glass. He was surrounded by an army of, wait for it, weaponized clowns. This was it, my moment. I cracked my knuckles, ready to unleash my martial arts fury on this clownish menace. But then, Lord Doodle did the unthinkable. He threw a pie in my face. A pie in my face. James was stunned, literally. He just stood there, covered in whipped cream, looking utterly bewildered. It was my turn. I activated my chrono gauntlet, slowing down time just long enough to snatch the pie-throwing launcher from Lord Doodle's grubby little hands. While Anya was dealing with the pie situation, I was busy hacking into Lord Doodle's network. Turns out his entire operation was powered by children's laughter? Weird. I managed to reverse the polarity, turning his evil bouncy castles back into regular flubberberries. The clowns, sensing the shift in power, started tripping over themselves in a desperate attempt to escape. It was hilarious. Seriously, have you ever seen a clown panic? I finally wiped the whipped cream off my face, a slow burn of righteous anger building inside me. "All right, Doodle," I growled. "You want to play dirty? Let's play dirty." I grabbed the nearest rubber chicken and charged. The relief was overwhelming. Lord Doodle was defeated, his bouncy castles deflated, his clown army in disarray. Captain Michael's four, Anya the Starfarer, and their children had saved us. "We owe you everything," I squeaked, bowing to the captain. "How can we ever repay you?" Michaels grinned, a smear of whipped cream still on his cheek. "Just promise me one thing, Gleepglorp. No more evil bouncy castles. And for the love of Flumph, keep the clowns away from my kids." As the Michaels family and Anya prepared to leave, I couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude. They were a strange bunch, but they were heroes nonetheless. And who knows, maybe one day the legend of Captain James Michaels IV and the battle for Flumph would be told for generations to come. Just hopefully they'd leave out the part about the pie.